Welcome to our first edition of 5-Minute FRQ, where I take you through an old AP Bio FRQ in 5 minutes or less. All this information is freely available on the College Board's AP Bio website, so if you have any questions, you can look it up online. So this is question 7 of the 2013 AP exam. One quick note that the current version of the test only has 6 FRQs, so there will not be a number 7 on the current version of the exam. In an experiment, rats averaging 300 grams of body mass were tested several times over a 3-month period. For each individual rat, urine was collected over a 3-hour period after ingestion of 10 mils of liquid, either water, 1% ethyl alcohol solution, or 5% ethyl alcohol solution. The volume of urine was then measured, and the results were averaged for all individuals within each experimental group. The data are shown in the table below. So before we even look at the question, this is an experimental design question, so a couple things to note. In an experiment, the independent variable, which I'm labeling as IV, the independent variable is the variable that the researcher is manipulating. It's what they are changing in the investigation. In this case, the researcher is changing what's in the liquid the mice are ingesting, or the rats are ingesting, which is either water or a different percentage of ethyl alcohol. Similarly, in an investigation, the dependent variable, which I'm labeling DV here, is what the researchers are measuring. It's what's changing due to the independent variable, which in this case is the average urine output. Typically in a table, I can't always guarantee this, but typically the independent variable is on the top, and the dependent variable is on the side, or what's being recorded inside the table. Can't always promise that, but usually it's the case. On a graph, the independent variable is the X, and the dependent variable is the Y. Okay, so what are the questions? The first question, pose one scientific question that the researchers were most likely investigating. The words that are bold, in this case the word pose, the word state, and the word describe are the bolded words. Those are the 3 points of the question. Pose one scientific question, so you can think of it as the effects of blank on blank, the effects of the independent variable on the dependent variable. So in this case, it's the effects of alcohol consumption on the average urine output. State a hypothesis that could be tested. This is just a possible solution or possible answer to the question. Really, there's 3 things that could have been testing. They could have been testing, does alcohol consumption increase urine output? It could decrease urine output, or it could have no effect at all. In this case, the thing that you're stating might not be what actually happened. It's just one possible hypothesis that could have been tested. And finally, to describe the effect, so in this case, you can tell that when I increase the percentage of ethyl alcohol, the average urine output goes up. So if we go down and look at the grading rubric, which I have here, pose one scientific question. So either the rubric, the readers either accepted how does alcohol consumption affect urine output, or you could have talked about how it affects the kidney, since the kidney controls how much liquid is in your urine. Most folks probably would not talk about the kidney, but they did accept that. For part B, state a hypothesis that could have been tested. So there's 4 things. Look what they took. You could either say that it increased urine output, that it decreased urine output, or that it had no effect. And finally, describe the effect of ethyl alcohol on urine production. So you can tell from the data that as you have more ethyl alcohol that the rats are ingesting, they're urinating more. So alcohol consumption increases urine output. Since I still have a minute and a half left before I hit 5 minutes, one common question that's asked is to identify what the control was and explain why it was the control. So in this case, the control was water. This question didn't ask that, but if it did, it would be water. And why is that one the control? This is asked frequently on the AP exam, and a way that you can always answer it is that the purpose of the control is to make sure the change in the dependent variable is due to the independent variable. So in this case, the dependent variable, again, was the amount of urine output, and the independent variable was the percentage of ethyl alcohol in the liquids the mice are ingesting. So if you say the purpose of the water, the purpose of the control was to make sure that the change in urine output is due to the percent of alcohol in the water, that is the control. A lot of kids will just say the control is the comparison, and saying that is too vague. The control is to make sure the change in the dependent variable is due to the independent variable, or in this case, that the change in the urine output is due to the alcohol composition of the solution that the rats are ingesting. All right, I did it in 5 minutes or less. I hope that was helpful. I'll see you guys next time.